Welcome into Morning Invest on this Friday, December 17th, the unofficial start of the Christmas season with kids home. We've got a jam-packed show for you today. President Biden issuing a stark warning last night, calling it the winter of death and severe illness. So that's what we have to look forward to. That's coming right from the president's mouth. Those are his words. We'll hear from Dr. Fauci on booster shots. And the latest out of South Africa, all about Omicron. We're going to look at what's the truth. We're going to separate fact from fiction and also kind of break it down. So, if the mainstream media is trying to scare you, we will give you the straight facts here on the show.
And is YouTube continuing the trend of big tech censorship and taking people off its platform? For what reason? We don't know. We're going to discuss.
And is President Biden about to be replaced by another Democrat? That is what's being floated around Washington right now. Kamala Harris being asked yesterday, the vice president, hey, have you guys talked about, your plans for 2024? And she says, honestly, we haven't even talked about running in 2024. So Democrats scrambling right now as Biden's agenda appears to be collapsing. All of that and more as we get uncomfortable here on this Friday edition of Morning Invest. Good morning, everybody. Welcome into the show on this Friday. We're going to start this morning with your news headlines. We've got a lot to get to on this Friday, and we're going to get to pet photos a little bit later in the show. So hopefully you got your pet photos in earlier in the week. It's too late today, but we're going to be showing off your pet photos, your furry friends, by emailing us. You can email us at pets@morninginvest.com, and we'll have them in there for next week. All right, you ready for some news?
I'm ready.
All right, let's dive into some news this morning. So stimulus update now. Two very interesting things happening on the stimulus front. On the one hand, the Build Back Better plan looks dead in the water at this hour. But there's a new round of stimulus checks being floated because of Omicron and inflation. So we're getting reports this morning from Bloomberg that members of Congress are considering a new bill that would send direct stimulus checks to the American people. We're talking $2,000 to be exact. This echoes a huge Change.org petition from a Colorado restaurant owner, which has, I think, millions of signatures at this point, who's been hard hit. The nearly 2-year-long pandemic has crushed restaurants. Now, whose businesses have been hardest hit by the nearly two-year-long pandemic. A lot of these people have signed this petition, and Congress has taken notice of it. So also the Senior Citizens League this morning also asking Congress, they said they've received just so many letters from retirees who just can't make ends meet. They're calling for direct payments for Social Security recipients. So Democrats reportedly putting together a bill that would be highly targeted with a singular focus on stimulus checks. But I got to say, I will believe it when I see it, because right now the Build Back Better stimulus appears to be dead in the water. And that includes that $3,600 child tax credit. I mean, they're all pointing to inflation, right? So the issue here is inflation and Omicron. Because of high inflation right now, and Omicron, and obviously businesses closing back down again, could they send out these $3,600 child tax credit checks to American families? It doesn't look like that's going to happen. Overnight, Joe Manchin all but confirmed that he is not supporting the Build Back Better stimulus over his concerns around inflation. That means any vote on the bill will likely slip into 2022, when the coming midterm elections will only heighten the sharp political pressure surrounding this plan. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer yesterday said his party will, quote, continue working on getting the Senate into a position where we can vote on the president's Build Back Better legislation. He did not mention his goal of approving the plan by Christmas, which is a target date that he has repeated for weeks. And then asked Wednesday if he believes the bill can pass this year, President Biden said, I hope so, but it's going to be close. Failure to pass the plan in 2021 will have immediate impacts. I mean, because think about it, guys. The enhanced child tax credit right now is that $300 per month child tax credit. It's going to expire at the end of this year. That means the last payment went out on Wednesday, basically, 2 days ago. And the Build Back Better Act would actually renew these things for an entire year at least. There are a lot of progressives, of course, that have been pushing for that to go even further than 1 year, making it permanent. But right now, those things have dried up. So that is a look at your stimulus. Do you think that we will actually see a $2,000 stimulus check separate from a Build Back Better plan? Again, Democrats putting this bill together. Again, I will believe it when I see it, but I'll wait for a bill and see if there's any appetite for it. President Biden seems to be pushing this Omicron winter of death pretty hard. So maybe they will try to push another round of stimulus through to raise his approval rating, because those things seem to work. All right. Next up today, the Ghislaine Maxwell trial. Okay, that is how you pronounce her name. Ghislaine.
Who said?
Her brother said.
Oh.
He's written a new opinion piece in The Spectator saying, first of all, everyone's gotten her name wrong. Okay, it's Ghislaine. It's pronounced like Geelynn. Ghislaine Maxwell. That resumes today. Okay. And now it's the defense's turn. They are expected to call over 35 defense witnesses to say that Maxwell was simply doing her job under Jeffrey Epstein and wasn't acting on her own at all. In the first 2 weeks of the trial, prosecutors presented 4 women who say that Epstein abused them when they were teenagers. They portrayed Maxwell as the person who invited them to Epstein's mansions, organized it all, pampered them with gifts, money, and attention. The defense is apparently about to introduce some shocking evidence, according to sources. This is what they're saying. This is what, according to defense sources who told the Sun and others that they are going to have shocking evidence this week or early next week, because it's Friday. I don't know why they would resume on a Friday. It's kind of weird, I guess,
I don't know.
The defense is apparently going to introduce some shocking evidence, according to sources. They're said to be preparing to produce evidence that Maxwell could not have been present during some of the accusations of wrongdoing. A source said, quote, "The defense case will be shocking. There will be some very surprising revelations." Okay. By the way, her brother Ian Maxwell penned a piece in The Spectator saying the mainstream media's pronunciation of my sister's name has been about as accurate as their coverage of her. No, it's not Ghislaine. It's Ghislaine, formerly a French name. There you go.
Okay. Which shows our ignorance. We didn't know.
Yeah, we didn't know.
Sorry.
Yeah, well, they're not letting her speak on the stand, so I guess we wouldn't know, right?
Apparently, they're saying she's a bit too fragile.
Yeah, they're saying that they're complaining, of course, that she's being shackled to and from court, that she's being, wearing shackles to and from court, and that they're not feeding her well. That's one of the complaints, and that
Isn't that like a side effect of prison? I mean,
I guess.
I get that she has money, but I mean, that's not different for any person that's ever been in court.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I mean, I sat on a jury of a high profile murder trial when I lived in Orlando, Florida. I was on the jury, and they brought in a defendant, and he was not on trial, but they brought in a witness, and he came in an orange jumpsuit and fully shackled and had to sit on the stand fully shackled. Like,
oh, the witness was currently imprisoned.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah. Anyway,
that doesn't happen to normal witnesses. Most witnesses are well treated when they're not imprisoned.
No, that's not the case.
All right.
Americans are love to drive fast, and they're dying in car crashes at an alarming rate. The National Traffic Highway Safety Administration says that speed-related crashes cost the United States more than $40 billion a year, and the death toll is trending upwards. Why is the nation in such a hurry to drive like maniacs? My wife wrote in the newsletter this morning. Slate has a fascinating read about the nuances of American driving. It's complicated as cities are discouraging routine traffic stops that disproportionately target black men. It leaves an existential question about how to even get everyone to collectively slow down. But we need to consider some data. Last year, the per mile death rate rose 24%. Due to drivers driving faster on empty roads. In 2021, traffic fatalities are up 18%. That's nearly 10,000 people die from speed-related deaths per year. Some say this is uniquely American because in other countries where roads were not built for such wide and speedy cars, drivers have no choice but to slow their roll. Politicians don't have much of an appetite, though, for trying to do anything about this. I don't know what they're going to try to do. But, this is the Autobahn, right?
Yes,
Here's some
I noticed.
video. And traffic deaths in Germany have been decreasing in double-digit percentages year after year after year. They're down 11%.
Where? In Germany?
Along the Autobahn.
Because faster speeds are allowed?
Yeah, I mean, there's no speed limit on the Autobahn. So they're like last year, specifically in 2020, deaths on the Autobahn or in Germany were down 11%.
And well, If you read the article, it points out that it really depends where you're driving. Speeding in residential areas or smaller neighborhoods is very fatal, right? Whereas speeding on highways is not necessarily as fatal. It's actually more dangerous to drive slower. But data showed that in the 70s, when the Nixon administration introduced a lower federal speed limit of 55 miles per hour, traffic-related injuries did drop. So it's complicated because it matters where you're driving. Absolutely. It matters, driving sort of the speed of traffic. Obviously, you should not be speeding in residential areas or inside inner cities. On the highways, it's a different set of rules, obviously. But it does seem to be an American problem. And it's terrifying.
Yeah, it's terrifying. Hey, if you have a dog, you might want to consider, if you don't have a dog, you might want to consider getting one. Because as the world goes back into lockdowns, a new study shows that dog owners fared better than non-dog owners during the pandemic. A new study, that's Grover, that's my boy.
You let him lick your lips like that?
He was I don't care. Don't they say dog mouths are like healthier than human mouths anyway?
They do, but I don't know why they say that.
He's a cutie. Anyway, they said it like helped. Yeah, he was attacking my face. I know, it just overall, it had more social support. I feel happier. I mean, I would be upset if I didn't have my doggie.
Absolutely. Yeah. I once saw a bumper sticker that said, "I kiss my dog on the mouth." You should get one of those.
Yes, I do. All right, there are your news headlines on this Friday. Ready for some deep diving?
Absolutely. All right. Well, President Biden says we are in for a winter of sickness and death. Case numbers do seem to support that. Case numbers are rising across the United States, even though experts say that the Omicron virus has not yet really taken its toll. It's about to make a tidal wave throughout the country. Experts are not certain whether or not Omicron is actually more deadly. They are certain that it is more infectious. So that has borne true. And now we are seeing companies saying that they are not returning to offices. They are also canceling their Christmas parties, and Broadway shows are starting to shut down. It seems like as Broadway goes, so goes the nation. We watch closely, because when Broadway came back, we felt like we were all back a little bit. Shows are being canceled for sicknesses inside the company, is what they call it. I was going to say the staff.
Theater. Yeah. Well, here's what President Biden says. I mean, these are pretty stark words. He held this little press conference last night at the White House, and didn't remove his mask, and says, get ready, because it's here, it's going to be painful, and we are in for a winter of death. I mean, this is exactly what you want to hear heading into Christmas. Christmas spirit, right?
I want to send a direct message to the American people. Due to the steps we've taken, Omicron has not yet spread as fast as it would have otherwise done, and that's happening in Europe. But it's here now, and it's spreading, and it's going to increase. For unvaccinated, we are looking at a winter of severe illness and death for unvaccinated. For themselves, their families, and the hospitals they'll soon overwhelm. But there's good news. If you're vaccinated, you have your booster shot, you're protected from severe illness and death, period. Number 2, booster shots work. 3, boosters are free, safe, and convenient. About 60 million people have been boosted. So go get your shot today. Go get boosted if you had your first 2 shots. If you haven't, go get your first shot.
Get your 10th shot. There was one guy, we had a story in the newsletter the other day where a guy injected it. He got 10 shots. Like, he's just like, just give me more. I just don't want this thing. So they're just getting all these shots. They're going crazy with these different shots. And that's where we are right now with the booster shots, is that there is a overall major push now around booster shots. Like, this is the thing. Forget like the regular vaccination now. Dr. Fauci speaking about this last night, saying, the booster shots are where it's at, guys. You guys got to get the boosters.
3 days. So the recommendations are what we've always said. I mean, we've got to get the unvaccinated people vaccinated, and boosters really help very, very much in protecting you against infection, but particularly against severe disease that might lead to hospitalization. So the recommendations in general, if you're vaccinated and not yet boosted, go get boosted. And with regard to just how you go about your daily life, you've got to abide by the recommendations of the CDC that when you are in an indoor setting that's a congregate setting where you do not know the status of vaccination of the people around you, to wear a mask in that indoor setting. That's the best we can do. Unfortunately, we have so many people in this country who are either not yet vaccinated at all or who have not gotten boosted, and we've got to get those people vaccinated.
The big question, though, this morning, I mean, there's a report about this vaccine resistance in Omicron, and the striking vaccine resistance in Omicron out of Columbia University. New study out of Columbia University says the Omicron variant is markedly resistant to vaccines, and boosters might not do much to help, spelling bad news for the country as Omicron spreads. But right now, the data in the United States is that the biggest spread in the United States is not Omicron at all.
It's still Delta.
It's still Delta.
Yes.
But, it's interesting when you look at what's going on in South Africa. Dr. Campbell, who's doing a great job of giving us the facts, an excellent doctor who's unemotional about it. He's just looking at the data coming out of these different areas and countries and from, speaking to people specifically in these areas. He says that in Africa, specifically, it's Omicron that's taken, it is exploding. And he said what we're seeing now is that it's actually replacing Delta. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not they're both here. It's literally like Delta is gone,
yes,
and Omicron has now taken over. Same thing in the UK. Is that now Omicron is now like it's like pushed it out.
Meanwhile, the European Union and the World Health Organization have said we are not still clear that boosters are the way to go. The FDA does, which is just the American Federal Drug Administration, is saying, yes, we think boosters are the way to go. Even though the World Health Organization and the European Union are saying we're not sure about this. We're more concerned about access to vaccine inequality, right? And we also are not convinced that Omicron is at all that the vaccines are effective against Omicron. So they are not pushing for a third vaccine in other places in the world. The United States thinks that is sort of the magic key to get out of this. It does not seem to be the case in other places in the world. And it's interesting that the president said, due to the steps we've taken, there is we have not seen Omicron roll across the country yet. But what steps are those? Because most of the United States is not wearing masks, and it does still have a low vaccine acceptance rate. And experts have said that it will be several weeks before Omicron takes over. So what exactly is he patting himself on the back for there?
That's a good question. I mean, I don't know, like getting vaccines out. I mean, you look at the data this morning, compare it to Italy, right? Italy is at 82% vaccination rate. The United States is about 62%.
Yes.
So yeah, where are we patting ourselves on the back on this?
What are the steps that we've taken to prevent Omicron from coming? I'm really curious, because it doesn't seem in most places that there are rules left for indoor gatherings, or, you have to wear masks to Broadway, but you see sporting events where people don't have masks anymore. I'm just wondering, like, what are those steps?
Well, maybe maybe it's just that Delta is still so prevalent that it's still like you have these competing strains.
Because we let Delta go crazy, that's what we're doing,
right?
I'm unclear.
Well, Dr. John Campbell, who's been a great voice in all of this, had a thought specifically on South Africa. Let's listen to his take on this.
Kingdom, that's great, but of course, many parts of Africa haven't. So is the Omicron variant going to spread rapidly throughout?
He talked about immunity. What he's saying is that most of Africa didn't have an initial vaccine. So their immunity is not there at all. And that's why we're seeing this massive spread. So, that's what he's saying.
Out poorly vaccinated areas such as Africa, yes. Is it going to cause a relatively high proportion of severe illness in those areas? It may well, because it may be just as virulent as Delta. So that's quite a sobering thought, that low vaccinated areas could be in for a lot of severe illness over the next weeks to months as Omicron spreads around the world. That is really quite concerning.
So, I think he Dr. John Campbell, who, is really, I think, echoing what President Biden is saying. Mm-hmm. Which is this could be a real crap show. I mean, when I hear Dr. John Campbell saying, like, among those people that have not been vaccinated, this spread is going to be fast. It's really, really fast, and it could be, could be deadly for the unvaccinated. But though the hospitalization rates still aren't significant when you compare them to Delta,
Yes.
or the original COVID, especially looking at South Africa, still relatively low. We heard from the South African doctors the other day that's saying, look, the hospitals are not wildly overrun. And they've had now, as of this morning, 54 deaths in South Africa as a result of Omicron, specifically Omicron.
Yes.
But there are some other concerns about some of these other vaccines. Denmark just released a study on the Moderna jab, saying that they are confirming a rare heart risk from Moderna.
In the newsletter this morning, we reported that 8 children had suffered the heart inflammatory condition that was the concern for children specifically. That is 8 out of a very large number, so it's low, but it still does happen.
Right. Also, the CDC panel looking at this Pfizer vaccine, the J&J shot, because the CDC is warning Americans not to get the J&J shot now. Like, if you have a choice, don't get it.
Way to go.
This is the one that I got. So blood clots, like, don't get it. J&J. Unbelievable. The panel is unanimously recommending to take the more effective Pfizer or Moderna instead.
Okay, I would like them to then take a look at birth control, because a lot more than 9 people have that response to birth control. And we'll leave that on the market because it affects women, I guess. These are decisions made in a vacuum, I suppose.
I don't know. I did see a story today where, there's a big movement right now about concerns over the birth control pill. I wish I would have put the story in the show.
There has been for a really long time. Yeah. I obviously, this is something I've thought about a lot. Like always, I can recommend a book if you'd like, but
yeah, you have like a few instances of blood clots, and now it's like, don't take it, don't touch it.
But it's much more prevalent in birth control usage,
right?
As well as the consideration for stroke and people using IUDs, which, they say inflammation is the root of all disease, but IUDs purposely put your uterus in a constant state of inflammation. And we're okay with this. Like, all of this is dangerous for women, but we leave it on the market because it puts the responsibility of childcare and pregnancy prevention in the hands of women, and we're okay with that.
Cynthia Ann in our chat says, my daughter works for a cardiologist. It's nightmarish what these shots are causing. Cynthia, I'd be curious to hear more about that. Like, what do you mean specifically? These shots are causing, like, inflamed hearts, etc. Yeah, that's really troubling. Yeah, Big Chill said, I had the J&J 7 months ago. No problems. The side effects are rare. Yeah, I had the J&J shot as well. I didn't have any side effects. Just a sore.
What I got. And
yeah.
0 side effects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. If you're interested in reading up more about birth control and the effects of various options, I highly suggest a book called Taking Charge of Your Fertility, especially for women who are actively trying to not get pregnant or trying to get pregnant. I read that book about 10 years ago, and I felt like, how am I this age and not know these like basic pieces about my own reproductive health? So yes, taking charge of your fertility.
Do you think that they just like want to keep it quiet?
Absolutely. I think that they want people, I don't think they want women to really understand the risks that are involved because, nobody wants to have a million babies, know, unless you're what is that family? John and Kate plus 8.
Yeah. The Duggars.
Or them. Yeah. I don't want a million. 3's good. 3's good. 3's a lot.
Yeah, I'm trying to get this up here. I'm sorry. I'm swinging my Harry's.
All right. Well, we're going to move on and tell you about our show sponsor over at Harry's. Are you ready to do that?
I was trying to, but this internet is giving me crap today.
No? Okay.
But I will anyway. All right. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Harry's. I'm a huge fan of Harry's razors. They make high quality razors, and you may have noticed I've been growing a Christmas beard.
I've noticed.
So, and someone wrote me the other day, they said, what, your Harry's aren't working anymore? It's like, no, they're working fine. When I decide after the holidays to get rid of the beard and go back to baby soft, my Harry's razors will come out of my drawer, and the fantastic shaving cream that I love.
They've been out of the drawer. I've been using them.
You've been using them?
They work well on my knees.
So this is what the thing is. Natalie will steal my Harry's razors because they work better than her razors.
Yes. Women's razors are terrible.
So you use my razors. That's great. And that's why I can never find them. So when I'm looking for them, half the time they're in the shower where they should be on the sink. Let's face it, guys. We are hard to shop for. And wherever you're getting a gift for the season, we want something exciting but practical. And this year, give them the gift of Harry's. There's no better gift than the limited edition holiday shaving sets that they've got. If you go to harrys.com, you're actually going to get a weighted blade. You're going to get $5 off, by the way. If you go to harrys.com/invest, you're going to get $5 off plus free shipping, which is awesome. And they have a limited edition holiday shaving set right now. When you go to harrys.com/invest, the set comes with a weighted handle, 3 razor cartridges, foaming shave gel, and a travel cover. Everything he'll need for a smooth shave, all packaged in a handsome holiday gift box. You can get $5 off this gift right now, plus free shipping by going to harrys.com/invest. I'm a huge fan of Harry's. I love their new body wash too. Mm-hmm. Don't I smell fantastic?
Smells nice. Yes.
Yes, I just took a shower before the show, so I smell fantastic. And I love my Harry's razors with my shave gel. My favorite foaming shave gel. I will never use any of that stuff ever again. The old stuff. I love Harry's shave gel.
Yes.
I make her buy it for me all the time. All right. Thanks to Harry's for supporting the show. Go there and grab your $5 off plus free shipping. harrys.com/invest and stop stealing my razors.
No. Razors are not gender specific.
All right. Let's talk about what YouTube is doing to YouTubers once again. So overnight, we got word that a big YouTuber, Steven Crowder, who has been a guest on my show multiple times in the past, has been banned from the platform.
So the YouTube policy is that after 2 content strikes within 90 days, they will get penalized and put in YouTube jail, which means they cannot post anything for 2 weeks. Just last week, YouTube preemptively issued what they're calling now their annual content review official headmaster grand poobah, whatever. That's not the title.
Yeah,
I'm just making it up. But it was something like the idea was that they are going to tell us now what they're taking down and what percentage of what they take down is legitimate. They are saying that most people who are receiving these content strikes are able to contest them, and that they win. About 60% of everyone who protests wins. The problem with these types of takedowns, specifically the one around the Steven Crowder channel, is that they're not given a reason why they're taken down. And when you contest, you're not given a reason why your decision was made one way or the other. So it feels very draconian, right? Mm-hmm. And so the question that YouTube rightly has to answer is, on what basis are you making these decisions? And are you now playing some type of filter and not allowing people access to information based on your own political bent?
Yeah, I mean, Steven Crowder is now 1 strike away from being permanently banned. And specifically, it had to do, here's the Mashable piece on it, but specifically it had to do with the video they were talking about transgender. And so when reached for comment, like Mashable, here's the thing, not everyone has the ability to reach out to Mashable as a news source and say, hey, we were taken off YouTube. Can you, reach out and find out? So Mashable contacts YouTube to find out like what the heck happened here, because Steven wasn't able to find out. Like when they send the email out, there's nothing specific in the email. Like when we were taken off of YouTube a few months ago we were talking about COVID. Yes. And we were citing data and science and fact. And guess what? We were citing the very same stuff that was in a CNN video, a CNN story, and CNN's was left up there. So they pick winners and losers. And they're able to remove our video and our live stream, but they kept the CNN video up there. Mm-hmm. I mean, talk about a double standard. I guess if we had millions of dollars and we were billionaire media corporations, then they would keep us up there.
Well, also taking CNN off their platform would help to delegitimize their platform, right? like not having those marquee brands on YouTube would look worse for YouTube. Maybe they don't necessarily feel like they need a Steven Crowder.
Well, that's the thing. That's a great point, because back in the day, I remember when I worked at Fox, there was an outreach from Google to the big media companies. I remember Google executives, YouTube executives coming into the News Corp building and meeting with Fox News Digital about, you should be putting up your content on YouTube. There was like a partnership. I don't say a partnership, but there was, I mean, are they coming to my house? They're not coming to my house. They're not going to your house. They're not going to Steven Crowder's house, but they're going to the big media conglomerates and asking them to be put up on YouTube.
You just touched yourself and put the condensation from your mug on there. It looks like you're lactating a little bit.
I am lactating.
He's getting upset about it. That was cute. It's like, remember those hypercolor shirts where you would like touch yourself? That's what it looks like. Yes, this is, I mean, it's interesting, and I am scared to discuss the merits of what he said, because I'm interested in what specifically he said and whether or not one should be able to see those things. But I don't want to get a strike. So that's why we're reporting this without me. I'm not going to say it.
Well, I mean, here's specifically, Grover's upset about it too.
He can say that. Grover, you can't say that on YouTube.
Man. So here's what was sent to Steven Crowder, right? Our team has reviewed your content, and unfortunately we think it violates our hate speech policy. Remove the following content from YouTube. Specifically, it was a video about Elon Musk.
But the piece in it was about transgender. Mm-hmm. And so there was some parody inside there. And so, YouTube is trying to not make I want to say Dave Chappelle type, are we going to call it a mistake? Or where pointing out people's transgendered can be considered mockery, I suppose.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. Yeah, they're doing it.
Are they?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, he says, this is what Steven Crowder said. As usual, they did not provide any details for the suspension. It's one of those things where we could just say, we could guess. I mean, take your pick. So what is it exactly? We don't know. And this is the problem. And
yes.
We're specifically, I had a YouTube liaison, I guess, who worked with me recently. And, every day we do a video, we get demonetized here on the channel. Every day we get one of those little yellow, hey, your content is too controversial or whatever. So pick, so I guess only big media companies can cover controversial issues where they don't get demonetized. But we, as content creators here at independent media, get slapped like this. And, I don't forget his politics, whether you like Steven Crowder or not. That's not the issue here. It's about speech, and it's about these big media companies, these big tech media companies controlling speech.
Yes.
And controlling thought, basically. When you control speech, you control thought.
I mean, we've been having an argument for decades about what the FCC should and should not allow, right? And at least there is a specific set of rules. You can't say bad words. You can't say things that are prurient in nature. You can't show those types of things, right? Especially from a news standpoint, right? We should have a bit more leeway if we're telling you what the news is and not telling you what to do. We try really hard to never tell you what to do, except don't use plastics and right. Chemicals and maybe a few other things. But for the most part, right, you should have some kind of leeway for at least discussing what the news is. And so this is the thing that Congress and YouTube has had this sort of flirty dance about whether or not we're going to make you come up with some rules and government regulation. And it hasn't happened yet. So it's very concerning right now, given that this is the most popular platform, that everybody has an equal voice. I mean, for some reason, you think about election laws, right? Election law means that any network has to give equal airtime to both sides. Like
right.
These are laws in place, right?
Yeah.
Broadcast networks have to give equal time to all candidates. They don't necessarily do that, but they're supposed to. And so at least we know the rules of engagement. For big tech, new media, we don't. And it's concerning to see them fly by the seat of their pants.
Yeah, I mean, specifically, YouTube says, we have a second strike to Steven Crowder and channel for violating our hate speech policy. This is what they responded to Mashable. Only, again, We wouldn't know this, but because Mashable reached out to them, we have some clarity a little bit about violating our hate speech policy through repeated targeting of the LGBTQ plus community. Hate speech is not allowed on YouTube, and we remove our content or issue other penalties, such as a strike when a creator repeatedly targets, insults, and abuses a protected group based on certain attributes.
Okay, well, Jack the Bomb is saying here that Steven Crowder is quite a offensive person to transgendered people, and I did not view the content. So,
well, you can't because it's gone. I mean, it's been removed.
Right, I didn't view it before then. So,
okay, but here's my point: is again, big tech controls the narrative, and so this is why I've been pushing for a decentralized web. I mean, this is why I think Web 3. Around crypto is incredibly promising. It'll take the power of the internet outside of the hands of people like Google. It'll take it outside of the hands of people like companies like Facebook and Amazon that control everything, and put it in the hands of the people. If you don't like what he has to say, then don't watch it. Right?
Yes.
I mean, it's the same way, like if you don't like Howard Stern, you don't have to buy a Sirius XM subscription.
Right. You can say that about hate speech on one hand, right? But hate speech leads to violence. And that's why you can't just let the media follow the same rules of capitalism, meaning like anything goes and people will weed out what's not right, because then you'd have things like, child violence or, other inappropriate content around minors or drug-related things, violent things. Like there has to be some standard, but the standards should be clear. Specifically around transgender, it's not just about whether or not it's funny, right? It's about whether or not it promotes real discrimination and hate. And this is and it's real, right? Your words matter. So if it's like this guy was playing a jingle about how funny it is, right? To have it like it seems like it was a crying game type, situation. It's not really funny. And if you've seen that movie, you know what happens, right? It's a sad ending. And this is specifically what we're trying to not have happen in our community. And that's fine if you're going to flag somebody's content, but there needs to then be real rules around it, right?
Yeah. I mean, and then you have discussion. Well, anyway, we don't need to go down this rabbit hole any further, but I mean, to bring up speech right now is controlled in the hands of a few tech oligarchs. And we can have broader discussions about what is appropriate on broadcast. Should they be regulated at the FCC level? Should it be?
Yes, and YouTube should have the onus of saying these things specifically, right? It's not just a blanket email like you got to strike, but you got to strike for these words.
Right.
Right.
These specific words we don't allow on our platform. Whatever. But yeah, again, it's all vague. And so there are people saying, what about other platforms? Yeah, like we are on Rumble. There's a couple of other platforms. Again, they don't have the reach that a YouTube does, but Rumble, we are on Rumble. We're on Twitch. We're on other platforms. But again, wouldn't it be great to not have to rely on these these media owned companies with a decentralized web where we wouldn't have to worry about this? I think this is the future of the internet, and I'm all for it.
Yes.
All right. Let's talk about President Biden now. And there are growing concerns in Democratic circles that he is not fit to lead. And there are rumblings. We've been hearing this over the past few weeks, but it's getting louder as now it looks like his agenda is collapsing and the Build Back Better plan is not going to happen. Omicron is running rampant. His approval ratings are in the toilet. And Democrats are actively looking for a replacement for Joe Biden for 2024. And yesterday, Kamala Harris was asked about 2024 plans. And she said, Joe and I haven't talked about running. We haven't talked about running at all. And there's a lot of people think that he's going to step down. She would become the first female president because he steps aside. I don't know.
I hate when they say this, like we haven't considered it. It bothers me as a professional person, like you don't have professional goals. You're one of the most powerful leaders in the world and you haven't thought about where, like, everyone has a 5-year plan if you're operating at that level, right?
Right.
So you haven't thought where you'd like to be in 5 years. So on the one hand, it just seems dumb for a professional person to say that. And on the other hand, it's impossible to start a campaign for president without any type of budget at this point. If you read the book Republic Lost by Lawrence Lessig, it lays out exactly what you need to do to be elected to any office of any level. And running for president is incredibly expensive. You have to be raising money right now if you want to run, not even in 2024, in 2028. Those people need to start saving money right now. It's inaccessible. So saying that right now, I guess, feels a bit like a red herring, right? Like, no, we're not thinking about it. We're so focused on leading in the here and now. Well, you won't be able to lead to any effect into whatever your goals are. Will just die poof in 4 years when, I don't know, we'll see. It seems
it's ridiculous.
Crazy.
It's ridiculous because we know that the fundraising, the apparatus begins immediately after they're elected. And
it has to.
They're inaugurated.
They have no choice.
I mean, there's like in Congress, at least you get like a month of like a reprieve before you have to start getting on the phone and raising money again. There's literally like a 30 to 60 day window after you win a Senate seat or a House of Representatives seat where you don't have to go get on the phone and start campaigning again immediately. But for President of the United States, it's nonstop. You can pretend like it's not, but it absolutely is. So Joe Biden thinks that the media hasn't been nice to him, right? The media has been cruel to him. So he sat down with media elites the other day to complain about media coverage and asked about all of this that's going on right now. You have a number of Democrats that are really worried about this, and they are facing, as the Hill points out, a painful reality as priorities stumble. And among the list, I mean, of course, on the top of the list is the Build Back Better, that they're unlikely to pass President Biden's Build Back Better social spending plan this year. And Joe Manchin, of course, is the big thorn in the side of Democrats right now for this. And there are some words floating around. There are some rumors floating around the halls of Washington that because Manchin, people keep calling him President Manchin, that they're sitting there saying to themselves, wait a second, should we be looking at Joe Manchin as a possible replacement for a Joe Biden in 2024?
Well, that would be interesting.
Yeah. So, and you have even like Fox News last night calling Joe Manchin a genius. Like Bert Hume saying he's a genius, like for the way that he's been able to navigate these political waters, playing to his somewhat conservative, base in West Virginia while also retaining his liberal stance as a Democrat and caucusing with Democrats, and then also being able to curry favor with the big oil and big gas and in fossil fuel industry. Can you imagine? Let me know in the chat what you guys think. A Joe Manchin to replace Joe Biden in 2024? I didn't know
he had so many fans.
No, Maddie says in our chat, no, Manchin is not a genius. God, please, no, Amy Perkins says. No.
But he could be the Trumpy Democrat.
Exactly.
Right? And that seemed to really unite people around that kind of stomach acid.
Yes.
People like to feel that, right? And you sort of get outrage fatigue during the Trump administration. But I will say I kind of miss that a little bit.
I just don't understand how you're Kamala Harris and you're like, oh, we haven't even talked about this yet. We're not even,
I feel like that's so patronizing and condescending to even say that. I mean, I just wish one time I could have the microphone and be like, don't most professionals at your level have a 5 or 10 year goal? So you haven't thought about it personally where you'd like to be as a leader? That's interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
where was the follow-up question to that? Because like, there's no way I could hear somebody say that like at that level where they're like, "Oh, we haven't discussed it." Be like, "Hang on, time out. You're saying you haven't discussed it."
Yeah, well, back up, Charlie. Back up. Yeah. So, will President Biden be replaced? I mean, a lot of people saying like he doesn't have the stamina right now to, and they're inner circle wondering and worrying about him in 2 more years. Really worried about his cognitive ability. Forget his cognitive ability for a minute. Just think about the leadership ability on a lot of these major agenda items. Apparently, according to Bloomberg this morning, there's a lot of people in the White House who sort of grew up on the Aaron Sorkin era, West Wing, watching the West Wing, right? Where here's a president in the West Wing on that television show that could get things done. Like, and it's like the ideal, like an idealist way of looking at the world. Like that's why we got into politics. We grew up watching West Wing. That's why we're here. President Biden's our answer. We've got a democratically controlled Congress. And then you look and they haven't done anything. And they can't even get their own agenda through.
Well, he spent a lot of money on stimulus that wasn't even means tested, just like threw money out of a train, you know.
They passed a defense budget. Right.
They defense a 20% higher defense budget, and the infrastructure bill, which, you know, will get some people not poisoned water, about a third of the country. The other 2/3 can just keep drinking lead. I guess that's fine.
Yeah. And so like they're going to try to, so talk about this, the lead pipe issue right now. I mean, they're going to try to get this lead pipes. So for drinking water.
Yes. So Kamala Harris spoke on Thursday and said that the EPA is going to tighten its standards around acceptable amount of lead in drinking water to all municipalities. So they're going to lower it basically because there is an acceptable amount of lead allowed through lead pipes because the infrastructure of the country is that there are still most water delivery systems use lead. Meanwhile, the EPA is saying the science is in on lead. There is no safe level of exposure. I was very encouraged actually to see that this AP story used the word, that's a CNN story, but they specifically used the word neurotoxin to promote the fact that just like many things are known carcinogens, they cause cancer. Neurotoxins cause cognitive decline and disease of the neurons. And so it's interesting now that we're using this to bring awareness to things that are a neurotoxin. One of them is lead. Lead in our water is a bad thing. They released $2.9 billion from the infrastructure bill that was passed just a few weeks ago and say that over the next 10 years, we believe that at least 10 million Americans will be able to switch their water source that is non-lead based. But experts say that this was only 1/3 of the budget that urban planners said was needed to make this national choice. So 1/3 of the country, you can guess which third, will get safer water, and 2/3 will not.
Way to go, Biden. Team Biden. Democrats.
It was not budgeted for. Now, again, when you look where money does go in the country, it does seem to get to very powerful people that need it, and very powerful corporations, very powerful friends. The Kennedy Center got plenty of money. You know,
yeah, big banks get money.
Yes, but when it came time to actually budgeting for things that we do need, like, how about safe water? That's not necessarily, you know, and it's interesting because the United States is kind of known for having cleaner water than most places.
Right. We joke about going to Mexico.
It's filtered and
like, don't drink the water.
It looks like this, but you can't see lead, you know. You
can't see lead. You can't see the chlorine. You can't remember we lived in New Jersey, and the water in New Jersey is just awful. I mean, really, really bad. It's so bad that you have to get, you have to get a reverse osmosis system in your house just to be able to drink the water.
But specifically in Essex County, there were politicians that went to jail for allowing companies to dump in it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. So you think your health is not political. It's insane.
And by the way, in a very blue state, by the way. So you don't get much bluer than New Jersey, you know, and this is the kind of... this is the kind of stuff that continues to go. That's why I say they're all just one party. They're all one political party, Democrats and Republicans. And people are seeing, the emperor has no clothes right now. And that's why Team Biden is in real trouble right now. So let me know in the chat, do you think President Biden will be replaced? All right, you want to tell us about our next show sponsor?
Yes, I do. I would love to tell you about HelloFresh because I always say that the holidays are like motherhood on steroids. There is so much cooking and cleaning to do, and meal planning is a drudgery when you are super busy around the holidays. That is why...
I was going to say, we had a viewer that wrote to us this morning. I think it was Althea. I hope I'm remembering. If you're watching please let me know. I'm getting your name correct. But she said, thank you, Clayton and Natalie, for telling me about HelloFresh. I am now signed up, and it is a game changer. I've got my refrigerator stocked full of delicious food. She said it is absolutely delicious. So that's from one of our viewers.
Yes. So HelloFresh is boxed delivery of meals and all of the components that go into the meals, plus recipe cards that make them pretty much idiot-proof. You only have to know how to use your own home equipment.
Even I could do it.
Yes, and Clayton barely knows how to use our stove. So yes, HelloFresh offers 50 menu and market items to choose from every week for every dietary constraint: vegetarian, calorie smart, gourmet options. There's a lot of variety, and it is things that you wouldn't just necessarily think to cook, right? So I'm always in this rut where like tacos on Tuesday, chicken and mushrooms on Wednesday. It's nice to have this, someone else's creative juices in your menu planning without having to go out. You can save on average over $65 per month when you order HelloFresh instead of grocery shopping, especially if you take Clayton and he adds nonsensical things to your cart, like relish when we don't eat relish and strange things. Like, why do we have olives? Now, you should not bring your husband, right, to the grocery store. And you don't have to make that expensive mistake at all if you're ordering on HelloFresh. So right now, you can go to HelloFresh.com/invest14 and use the code invest14 for up to 14 free meals and 3 free gifts. Again, that's HelloFresh.com/invest14. HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit, and it just takes the burden off of you for dinner time. People who eat at home on average are healthier, but everyone can use the help to eat at home and plan your meals. So head on over to HelloFresh and allow them to help you take the stress out of this holiday season.
All right, let's talk about Alec Baldwin now.
Shall we?
Yes, Alec Baldwin could be in some serious trouble, and the FBI is now looking into wanting to get their hands on his phone, his cell phone. And what's going on here? Basically, the FBI and authorities are saying there's some missing information here that's not adding up, and we would like to know more about this. So now the phone has been seized by the FBI in the wake of the Helena Hutchins tragic movie set death, where the cinematographer was shot with a gun with whether it had a blank in it or not. So the Rust star's phone, Alec Baldwin's phone, has now been taken by the FBI in an effort to be searched by authorities.
His lawyers were saying, we just wanted the proper warrants. And now this is, I believe, the 5th warrant that authorities have had to obtain in order to get his information. They did say, yes, we'll give it to you. We don't want to, but you have to get a warrant. And once the warrant was obtained, they did, in fact, hand it over. Some of the information they're saying they're looking for is whether or not there was information exchanged in his phone about how the safety protocols of the set were not being followed or were not high standards, and that there was some discussion about that before the tragedy. And also there was some information that may have been exchanged after. It's hard to say, right? We're extrapolating at this point, but they do seem to be getting closer and closer into Alec Baldwin's involvement, whereas initial reports was an accident, he didn't know, right? So what are they looking for?
They're saying there's some missing information, specifically that there is missing evidence from on the phone due to the individuals using cell phones during or after the commission of a crime. Like, who was to blame? Now, recently, Alec Baldwin sat down with George Stephanopoulos on ABC and did that interview where he said, "No, I didn't pull the trigger. I didn't shoot the gun.
The trigger was pulled, but I didn't pull it.
But I didn't pull it. It was pulled, but I didn't pull it." And so such information, as they say, if it exists, may be material and relevant to this investigation. Affiant is requesting a warrant for the seizure and the search of Alec Baldwin's cell phone to search for any evidence relating to the death investigation of Hutchins, according to the sheriff's office. And that was approved by the judge just yesterday. So there was a lot about these emails and text messages sent and received during the production of Rust. There was concern, of course, from people that worked on the set that it wasn't safe. There were people that left or had quit because it was an unsafe work environment. And so even though Baldwin has been communicating with the detectives here, is there something that they're explicitly looking for that they say they want? There's facts that are still missing, and they think that are absolutely necessary to establish probable cause for to get this search warrant. So is there anyone to blame? Is anyone going to be facing any kind of criminal charges for this? Or is it simply a total mistake and nothing to see here? And her family is not, because her family is suing now, right? Obviously, for wrongful death. So
but even if he had previously said, wow, this set's not very good, they're kind of dangerous protocols, I don't like it here, and then still used the gun, right, assuming that it was a blank, that's not necessarily a crime or criminal intent at any point. But who knows?
Right, and whether or not there was a real bullet in the gun, as George Stephanopoulos asked him, The lawyers say specifically, we're confident that the evidence will show that Mr. Baldwin is not responsible civilly or criminally for what occurred on October 21st, and he continues to cooperate with authorities. That is the Baldwin's attorney. He says, we proactively requested that the authorities obtain a warrant so that we could take steps to protect Mr. Baldwin's family and personal information that is clearly unrelated to the investigation. A phone contains a person's entire life, and personal information needs to be protected. While they evaluate the phone information, we hope that the authorities continue to focus on how the live rounds got on the set in the first place. Yeah, like how did real bullets wind up in a set gun?
You can subpoena that information, though. You don't necessarily have to forcefully take the phone. So that's interesting, because since his lawyers have been so cooperative, they could have just asked for it over a subpoena, used a discovery software and submitted it. So it does seem a bit aggressive. And there are some people who say online, maybe they're answering for the fact that they don't want to be overly careful with Alec Baldwin because he's a white male, wealthy and famous.
Yeah, it is interesting, though, about this phone issue because, as authorities, we know the FBI has wanted to get a backdoor entrance into software, into the iPhone, and Tim Cook and Apple said, absolutely not. We're not going to build you a software backend for something that does not exist.
Yes.
And I agree with them. I absolutely agree with Apple on this issue. The government overreach. We already know what the NSA does was tracking phone records and monitoring phone calls. Do we need the government and law enforcement to have any more tools in their tool belt right now to monitor us and surveil us? Absolutely. This comes down to individual privacy rights. So on that issue, he's right. Like, our phones now have everything. It has our health record. It has our banking information. It has, it has nude photos. Well, just mine. It has, it has pictures of your dog. It has your family information. It has everything. Everything you need, is right here on a device. Right?
Yes.
So anyway.
All right. Well, I'm going to tell you what's trending before we get out of here. This is the part where we talk about what's been discussed hotly on the internet, and you can tell us what you think. We welcome your comments.
We're going to get to pet photos in a moment.
Yes, we will.
Yes.
Spider-Man No Way Home is trending because the movie came out on Thursday night. Reviews seem to be very good. The movie has 95% on Rotten Tomatoes under the critics score, but 99% for the audience score. Our tickets are for later this afternoon, so no spoilers. Okay, TikTok school threat December 17th is trending. This is a response to what law enforcement says was a viral threat to all U.S. schools, warning of violence today. Some schools have closed or stepped up security or going on a half day as a result. TikTok says it has not actually found evidence of this original threat, but it seems to have created a lot of fear and hysteria online. Chris Noth is trending because The Hollywood Reporter published a report of two women who separately have accused him of sexual assault. He is top of mind, of course, because the latest series of Sex and the City was just released and is currently being released every Thursday. In response, Peloton dropped him from their latest ads. He denies the accusations and says that these were consensual encounters. Yeah, I did read this article. I will not opine. You read it on your own.
Okay.
Jeff Garlin is trending because he has been let go from the Goldbergs due to accusations that he has been verbally abusive on the set.
Okay.
So this is an ABC show.
Isn't that why? I mean, that's his whole thing.
I think so.
Like, why?
I mean, super cranky and rude, but some people say he was also physically aggressive. I didn't read much more into it.
Okay.
Dominion is trending because a judge denied a motion to dismiss from Fox News in the defamation lawsuit brought up on by the voting systems company. You may recall that Fox News hotly accused Dominion of changing their voting machines to change the outcome of the 2020 presidential election, and Dominion has sued them for defamation. The judge denied Fox's motion to dismiss and says that there does seem to be a case here because there does seem to be evidence that, quote, Fox knew the allegations were probably false and kept broadcasting this information. So whether we'll see a trial, who knows, but it's going forward.
Interesting. That's all that's trending?
For now, that was 5 whole things.
All right. Well, you just didn't.
There's a lot of things.
You didn't put a bow on it. All right.
There was
Phil,
nothing like fun. Sometimes I want to show you something like, I don't know, Kate Beckinsale in tights or whatever.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
I'm sorry it's not so fun. Hopefully we'll get some like Elfie selfies next week or something.
Okay. All right. Let's look at some. My son's here. Come on over because we're almost out of here. We got to go see Spider-Man. You ready to go see Spider-Man?
This is Miles, everybody.
This is Miles. Does he look like anybody you know?
Okay, we're getting a delivery. He wants me to sign
He's got to sign something.
Okay, you do pet photos. I will do this.
I'm not gonna leave.
Okay. All right. She's got to. Yeah. Miles is our door answerer while we're doing the show today. All right. It's pet photos time, and here is. This is Dash from Jody Ritchie. What do you think about Dash?
Cute.
Cute.
He's so cute.
Cute.
Super cute.
Cute. All right, Dash. Who else we have here? Oh, look at that. It's hilarious. Look at that. Santa, Jean-Luc, and Saxy. Billy Morgan took photos with Santa. That's amazing.
Wait, who says hello, Miles? Friends?
A lot of people are saying hello, Miles.
Okay, hello back.
Say happy holidays, buddy.
Happy holidays.
I'm using your mug. I hope that's okay.
Yeah, I'll just have to use your Mandalorian mug back.
You can do that. Okay, what's the next one here? So that was...
It's okay.
You can go back to him. This is Kate T. Hey, Kate's watching this morning. That is cute. That's a present. Are you going to put Keely under the Christmas tree? That's hilarious, Kate. Keep under the Christmas tree with the sweater. Here's Maya from Belinda Edwards. Belinda's watching today. Maya? I think M-A-I-A. Would that be Maya? Mia.
I suppose, yeah. Maya.
I asked you a question.
I wanted to look at it.
Oh, Maya from Belinda Edwards. That's a comfy spot. Grover would love that spot. Here is Max, the Swedish Valhund, Ivy, and Dahlia. They're holding hands. Look. From Angela Greathouse. Angelina,
sweet.
sorry. Cute. My cat Samantha from Nicholas Woodall. Cat Samantha. I've never heard of a cat named Samantha before.
No. I don't even know a Samantha.
Pet from Bromberger. Bromberger sent in a pet.
I love all the kitties.
I don't have a name, though. I don't have a name, Bromberger. Cute. Yeah, I like the cats today.
Oh my goodness!
Look how cute that is. This is Chief in the sweater and Haggard from Daniel Ha in Oklahoma. Nice sweater.
So cute. Is that a puppy?
That is so cute. Grooming. Haggard is the name of the little puppy, or maybe it's not a puppy. I don't know. Just a little tiny.
I think it's a little dog. I mean, look at that
little
face.
dog.
Oh.
This is Dudley. This is Dudley from Melissa Pierce.
I love that name.
This is a grand puppy, Birdie Barbara Mosley in Skagway, Alaska. Remember we went to Skagway?
We have been there,
We've been to Skagway. It's beautiful.
Gosh, that's a handsome dog.
That is, and it's a beautiful photo too. Grand puppy Birdie from Barbara Mosley. And I think we got one more. This is Sonia from Kingman, Arizona. My fur babies. Junior Boy is the little one on the left. Sorry. Let's see if I get this. What is it? It's Kona. Kona on the right and Junior Boy,
So
the little one
cute.
on the left, sitting by the fireplace. That's where Grover has been spending most of his holiday season, is by the fireplace. This holiday season. Except now he left his bed. He's running around with the kids right now.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. We got to get out of here because we have to run and go see Spider-Man.
Yes. We will be back not next Monday or Tuesday, but we will see you on Wednesday. And we apologize for advance for any children that run in during the show over the next 2 weeks. And our school is taking the third week after the holiday and going virtual. So wish us luck. Anyone who's in the same boat as us trying to get work done and also have your kids home, I hope there's joy in it for you and not too much stress. But I'm with you. We're in the same, you know, we're going to get through it. They will go back.
I should mention before we go, I'll have a video over on my YouTube channel, Clayton Morris, youtube.com/Clayton Morris, which is my investing channel, specifically on investing. Come on over here and check it out. We have a new...
Who's that guy?
Why, without the beard?
Without the beard.
Yeah.
It's like I have two different husbands. So handsome, honey.
Thank you.
Both ways.
What do you guys like better? Do you like the beard or no beard? Anyway, right now, Crypto News Daily, come on over and check us out. Go to youtube.com/Clayton Morris, where we cover everything going on in the crypto world, among other big news. We'll have a new video up there later tonight for you guys to make money and learn how to navigate this this crazy world. And James, yes, I'm working on new Paranormal Post videos as well. I'm a busy man. New year is my goal to be organized this year as much as I can. All right. Bye, everyone. We'll see you. Bye, Philip. Have a good weekend, everybody. And we will see you back here pretty soon.
And be nice to people in the parking lots of the shopping malls if you're going. Happy holidays, everybody.